Hello and welcome to another episode of A Slice of Health, the Candid Health Chat podcast, where we slice away health truth from health fiction. Join me and my friends as we challenge common health myths via chit chat, powered by several cups of coffee. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media, and do visit us at asliceofhealth.club. Let's get to today's episode. Welcome back to The Slice of Health, where health comes alive, with bite-sized health education to keep you moving and become your own health champion. But before we jump into our topic for today, I want to tell you a story. Marie, as a 5-year-old, started having severe toothache. Nothing seemed to make her symptoms better. Her mother tried warm remedies, salt remedies, garlic and ginger remedies, until she took her to the dentist, who saw that she had multiple caries, gum disease as well. A recommendation was made for teeth to be pulled, and this was done. The dentist gave her hygiene advice and encouraged her to drink fluoridated water to strengthen the condition of her teeth. However, many years later, after Marie's milk teeth had given way to permanent teeth, Marie started needing more and more fillings. And although her mother heard the advice of the hygienist and the dentist about reducing her sugar intake, Marie's need for fillings continued to increase. A few weeks ago, the dentist had a frank conversation with Marie's mother about sugar. Marie's dentist said that Marie's mother should consider sugar as the new tobacco. She said to her that she must rigorously remove all traces of added refined sugar from the diet. Marie's mother made several attempts to do this, but she struggled. Marie had her first taste of sugar before she was 6 months old, even had a cake smash photo shoot where the photographer described her as sugar drunk. And although they do not eat sugar on a daily basis, and Marie is not overweight, Marie's mother knows that cutting out sugar is easier said than done. But the dentist thinks it would make all the difference for the health of Marie and the health of the entire family in the years to come. What does this advice mean for Marie? And what does the doctor mean when she says that sugar might be the new tobacco? Tobacco, as we know, is a substance that increases the risk of cancer, increases the risk of heart disease, and reduces the likelihood of positive outcomes when it is present alongside comorbidities, infections, or injury. What we find now with increasing evidence is that blood sugar levels that are higher than normal or higher than low are also associated with similar risk factors. So, when there is an infection, a higher blood sugar level is associated with poorer outcomes. When there is cancer, a higher blood sugar level is associated with poor outcomes. When there is injury, a high blood sugar level is associated with poor outcomes. We are also starting to see that increasing levels of blood sugar is also linked to a disease known as Alzheimer's, a type of dementia. So, this is not just related to a condition of diabetes, and neither is it related solely to a diagnosis of pre-diabetes, which is what a lot of doctors refer to as early diabetes, and some doctors actually feel that pre-diabetes is a wrong term and feel it should actually be called diabetes as well. But what we see is that once blood sugar levels start to rise and the body is struggling to process these high levels of blood sugar, it sticks onto the blood cells, sticks onto blood vessels, and starts causing havoc within the body and the bloodstream. So what should Marie's mother do? Now, Marie's mother already knows that Marie was exposed to sugar quite early on. She had a taste of sugar before she was 6 months old. Now that's refined sugar, not naturally occurring sugar. And by the time she was 1, she was already eating a lot of cakes and sweet things. So Marie already has a palate that is used to eating refined sugar and so cutting it out completely would be a difficult task. One of the first things that makes a difference when we're trying to make health changes is being aware. What we know is that sugar exists naturally in fruits and vegetables and in milk, but added sugar is what we call refined sugar, and this is the main area of concern when we talk about health. Common names for added sugar include fructose, sucrose, corn syrup, maple syrup, brown rice syrup, molasses, cane sugar, beet sugar. And what we know is that refined sugar, unlike natural sugars or complex sugars, have a rapid spike in the body, which is normally followed by a high boost of energy, followed by a crash. They're also associated with an increased appetite and a craving for more and more, which is why Marie was struggling. Sugar levels that are high due to added sugar also cause mood changes and irritability. And so we know in the long term, with continued exposure to things like this, we have risk of heart disease, tooth decay, as we see in Marie's case, something called fatty liver disease, chronic inflammatory diseases, weight gain, and other potential conditions. And so what we would normally recommend is that we have a look at labels, especially for things like soda, things like yogurt. Breakfast cereal is a major culprit, salad dressings, things that seem to have sneaky little amounts of sugar, but we already incorporate into our daily life. And so, if you have an unhealthy relationship with sugar, think about it. Are you able to go several days without having any of these items that contain added sugar? Do you hide your sugar consumption from other people? When you are low in mood or tired or exhausted, do you seek out sugar? Do you find it difficult to cut out sugar from your daily life? There's several health conditions, as we've mentioned, that can be linked to excess sugar. But what we need to do is think about what we're eating so that we can make the right choices. So as I mentioned, the first thing we would recommend is to read food labels and have a look at the total sugar and added sugar that things contain. Then we would recommend cutting out several things that you feel and you have identified have a significant amount of added sugar. This might be sodas, especially if you're having soda on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. Trying to swap out some sweet snacks for fruits instead. Trying to have unsweetened versions of food, like reducing the amount of sugar you have in a cup of tea or in a cup of coffee. Also encouraging yourself to drink water, trying to avoid candy and cookies, especially for little ones, encouraging them to have a healthy relationship with sweet things that occur naturally as well. Another thing that we normally would recommend is trying to bake at home. So baking your cookies at home, baking your biscuits at home, your cakes and your scones at home, and trying to use naturally occurring spices to create that sweetness as well that we often desire. So managing sugar cravings is something that Marie and her mother would need to think about long term as they try to improve her quality of life as well as her current dental hygiene. There's so many options, but the most important thing is being aware. So Marie's mother wants to know, is it true that sugar is the new tobacco? There's a lot of debate around that. What we do know is that sugar acts like tobacco in certain situations by making health outcomes poorer. But is it in itself a trigger for cancers in a similar way that tobacco can be for lung cancer, we're not so sure yet. Research and time will tell. But what we know is that naturally occurring sugars are a bit healthier than white sugar, but everything needs to be done in moderation. 2, artificial sweeteners are not always better. So, in fact, avoiding them completely might be a better option. 3, eliminating sugar completely might not be the right choice either. A gradual reduction and an adaptable change to lifestyle is probably more sustainable. So what do? Eat whole foods, eat whole fruits. That's always a good starting point. Drink water and move your body. That's it for me today. I'll be back in your ear again tomorrow. Remember, be a health champion wherever you go. Read the food label, and if you can pick up an apple instead of a chocolate bar, that might be the right choice for you to make today. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. Remember that this podcast in no way replaces the advice you receive from your own doctor or physician. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media. Leave us a review on iTunes so that others can access the amazing content. And don't forget to be a health champion wherever you are by separating health fact from health fiction.